All right. So welcome everyone to the UGetConnected virtual conversation series on youth programs. Today we have Kate, Teresa, and Joe with us to talk about their programs and what agencies do and what they're looking for with their volunteers. So we're going to have Kate start off and introduce herself, and then we'll have Teresa and Joe as well.
Awesome. So I'm Kate Bickett. I'm the Community Relations Manager at Big Brothers Big Sisters. And my job is kind of fun. I get to do a lot of different things. So primarily I work in marketing, public relations, and event planning. So I guess that's kind of like my background. I don't really know. I graduated from UW La Crosse in 2019. With a major in communication studies, and then I double minored in leadership development and digital media studies and design. And I've been working at BBBS since November of 2019, and I started as an intern in January of 2019.
I'm Teresa Rowe. I work with the Girl Scouts of Wisconsin and Badgerland. We cover a good third of the state in our council coverage area. I'm based here out of La Crosse, and I cover quite a few of the counties. I think I have about 13 counties around the La Crosse general area, north, south, west. We serve girls from kindergarten through 12th grade, and we also have programs and engagement opportunities and volunteer opportunities for adults.
Hey, good evening, everybody. My name is Joe Carlson. I serve as the executive director for Gateway Area Council Boy Scouts of America. A lot of times we just refer to ourselves as Gateway Scouting. We're a little bit broader ranging than sometimes when people just hear Boy Scouts. I've been in my role here in La Crosse for 2 years, and previously to that had worked in the Eau Claire area scouting office for the previous 12 years. So got kind of a variety of experiences and excited to share a little bit about us and how we can work with you all to help better kids and families and communities in our area.
Thank you. So the first question we would like all of you to share with us tonight is, what does your agency do?
Well, I can start again. Am I able to share my screen by chance?
Yes, you should be able to.
Okay, sounds good. I'll see if that works. All right, can everybody see it okay?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yep.
So I'm just going to do a really quick overview, and then we can dive into what's happening with our agency in a little bit. But basically, Big Brothers Big Sisters is a one-to-one youth mentoring program. And we match at-risk children in our community with adult volunteer mentors. So it is volunteer-based, and we are 100% grant, donor, and volunteer funded. So our volunteers really make our organization run. And those are our bigs. And then our littles are the at-risk children in the community. We provide our services 100% free of cost to our families, which is amazing. And we walk alongside of them in their journey through mentorship. So one thing I do want to emphasize is that we are a thing to do, not a place to go. So we often get confused with the Boys and Girls Club. It happens all the time. So we are very different though in the services that we provide. Boys and Girls Club is more of a place to go. It's an environment where kids can be with one another and get to play and like I said, be around other kids. With our program, we are one-to-one mentorship, and we don't have the kids, we don't have the matches in our office in the way that BGC does. So we will go and we will match a volunteer who applies and with a little who's been on our waiting list. It's really pretty a rigorous process because child safety is our #1 priority. And then once they're matched, they sort of kind of go off and do their own thing a little bit. And we support them monthly with match support calls. And yeah, so basically our mission is to create and support one-to-one mentoring relationships that ignite the power and the promise of youth. And we really believe that all children have inherent potential. And we're not, white saviors. We're not here to pay for things for kids or save them, because we really do believe that all kids have potential, and we're just here to walk alongside of them and bring out that potential, show them what healthy relationships look like, and everything like that. So these matches go out in the community, and they meet a couple times a month, 1 to 2 hours, and the activities that they do together ranges a lot. Some matches will literally just have a movie night together. Other matches will go rollerblading, boating. It totally depends on what the big and the little like to do, what their hobbies are, because we match based on hobbies and interests as well. And again, like I said, we don't expect our volunteers, our bigs, to take on any financial burden. So our role as an agency is to support them and provide resources to all of our matches so that they can have fun out in the community and get to know each other. And really, at the end of the day, our matches are actually, our bigs are supposed to really just be there for our littles. We at the end of the day, just want them to support and guide them as much as they can, because a lot of the kids in the program just need that extra one-to-one attention. So that's about it, what we do. I will let somebody else talk and take over for this question then.
Let's see if I can get my slides up here. There you go. So most people know, they think they know what Girl Scouts are. I'm obviously not young, been around for a while. When I was young, Girl Scouts had a different kind of focus in terms of what the skills and accomplishments for girls that this kind of framework of Girl Scouts offers. It's definitely a mentoring program for girls, and the goal of the mission of the Girl Scouting program is to build girls of courage, confidence, and character who make the world a better place. Probably one of the biggest things that has changed over the many years in scouting is that the outcomes for Girl Scouting, which match these same kind of initial program outcomes since 1912, when Girl Scouts started, one of the things that Girl Scouts has done is realigned the topic areas where girls get experiences and build skills. And those 4 key areas are under the science, technology, engineering, and math areas, under the outdoor programming and the camps, the Entrepreneurship Program, which is just a really big word for cookie sales. But the Entrepreneurship Program also builds in girls and young women an opportunity to learn how to set up a business. We're going to run into cookie season here next month. They build online stores. They build a video introduction that they send a link to their relatives and friends, explain what they're budgeting, the Girl Scout cookie sales, the money that goes back to their troop, and what they'd like to plan for as a group to accomplish, or what experiences they'd like to purchase for their troop with that money. So they learn about financial literacy, budgeting, and teamwork. And the last area, of course, that Girl Scouts work in is life skills. Anything from physical fitness to elementary computer coding, cybersecurity. Again, the idea with Girl Scouts is not just to build a girl-safe space for girls to try new things, but to also keep those experiences relevant with the information they need today. I work in the recruitment side, so my job is to actively go out and engage community members and create opportunities for parents to understand what the opportunities with Girl Scouts and for them are within the framework of the Girl Scout organization. And I will tell you, after the 2.5 years I've been doing this with Girl Scouts, that most of the people that I see, both girls and their parents, they get involved with Girl Scouts because they're looking for friends. And I'm not going to discount the friends that the adults make with each other, but they're literally, as good parents, looking for good value friendships and relationships that their daughters will value and can carry with them through the years. But what really keeps them with Girl Scouts is the experiences. I was on a national call today, and the reason I bring that up is because it varies from council to council, and I'm proud to say our council offers all of them in terms of the local connections with communities, service projects, travel experiences. We have a troop going to England, and the girls learn how to build to a bigger outcome the older they get. But one of the key components of Girl Scouts is not only challenge seeking and community problem solving, but to learn to lead together. You know, it's a girl safe space. They can fail together, they can have setbacks together, but they learn how to learn how to lead. I'm going to stop sharing here and let who's ever next. I guess Joe go.
Yeah, great. Thank you. So kind of us in a nutshell, and I'll share some quick items here as well. You have a slide deck on the screen now? Okay,
Yes,
great.
you do.
Thanks.
Yes.
So, as I mentioned earlier, we're kind of historically known as the Boy Scouts of America. Gateway Area Council, we're one of 250 different scout councils within the U.S., all with different geographic, all of the different geographic piece. So here in the Cooley region, we serve youth in 9 counties. So Houston County, Minnesota, the La Crosse area, Monroe County, Juneau, we go north and south quite a bit as well. And the neat thing that I always tell people about scouting is that anywhere where you see a school, you typically are going to see a scouting program. So our program scales very well in communities based on size. So if there's a very small community where maybe there's not the infrastructure for a formal Parks and Rec department or a YMCA or some sort of other youth agency, you still can have very strong scouting in that community because of it's typically programming provided by parents and community volunteers, things like that. I think we're touching on pandemic items later on, so I'll maybe get to that in a bit. But our program in broad brush, Cub Scouting is for families that are with children in grades K through 5. So Cub Scouts is kindergarten through 5, and usually with those young people, they're gathering with peers their age once or twice a month for Cub Scout programs. And really, what we're teaching our kids through all of our programs is the importance of trying something new. So a chance to build your confidence and build your skills. We find, especially at that elementary age, that just the confidence to try something different than what you've experienced before is sometimes lacking. So we really are proud of how our program builds that. We have community service woven through all of our programs as well. So teaching our young people to give back to their communities and help make them as best of a place as they can is very important as well. And then some life skills also. So I always tell parents that in Cub Scouting, your child is going to learn some life skills that are important, but maybe you never took the time or thought to teach at home. As an example, what's your home safety plan look like? Where if there's a fire, where do you gather and meet your family members at once you evacuate the house? Something very basic, but something that sometimes can go untaught until unfortunately a crisis occurs. The other part of our programming is Scouts BSA, which is for youth in grades youth that are ages 11 to 18. That's the program that has the Eagle Scout rank attached to it, which there's certainly a lot of notoriety and excitement about that. And really what we're seeing at the Scouts BSA program is 3 different things. Number one is leadership training and leadership skills. So all of our programs are, we call it youth run. So it gives our young people a chance to really experience and learn leadership, underneath the training and overview of skilled adults, of course, too, but really gives youth a chance to, try and sometimes learn by failing. Community service, also very active in our programming, and then outdoor skills is kind of the other thing we're known for as well, too. in terms of how is our program organized, or how do we operate? So we've got a little bit over 1,200 families involved in our area, just a staff of 5. So I would say that we're a very steep pyramid based on our project team volunteers and then unit volunteers. Most of our unit volunteers are scout parents or sometimes other community members that are basically serving as leaders for those kids, helping them to plan activities and outings, things like that. But then also really a value are our 150 plus project team volunteers. And these are people that maybe have some scouting in their background, or maybe they just think the program is interesting, or they may just care about having good things going on for kids. And those are specialized either teams. So for example, a marketing team helping us to put together information to communicate in the best way, or a technology team helping to support some of our web-based things, or sometimes as a project team to plan a community event like the Enchanted Forest, or maybe a scouting event, like a merit badge type training as well. And those are composite of all sorts of people. And I think some of those things we've listed on UGetConnected in the past, and I'm excited about connecting with that portal as an opportunity to build that moving forward as well. You'll notice that I mentioned youth rather than boys. We're 2 years into our programs being available to really the full family. So we've seen some individuals enroll both a son and a daughter in scouting, and families have indicated to us that they are finding that to be a positive thing in the increasingly busy world, to be able to bring their entire family to just one program there. But the majority of our participants are male.
Thank you. That was a great overview from all 3 of you. So the second question that we wanted to ask today was, what's happening right now with your agency? The COVID-19 pandemic, how are you having volunteers work with your youth? Are you having volunteers, or are there no volunteers at the current time? And anything else you want to share about that?
Awesome. So I can jump back in for Big Brothers Big Sisters here. Okay. So let's see. So during COVID, we have found that the lacrosse community has really stepped up, and we're really, really thankful for that. These are some of our sponsors here on the left, and I'm not going to play this video because it gets to be kind of long. But basically, we did have like a loss in our budget. I think our budget was cut by like a third, which is pretty significant. And we lost a lot of income from our fundraising events. So we typically do 4 major fundraising events every year, and they're, obviously all in person. So we lost a lot of money because of that. And so now we're moving to virtual events and hybrid events, and we're really hoping to be able to do an in-person type of event that's socially distanced outside in July. But I can get more into events and our needs later. But basically, we've just been getting by, but we haven't been able to do that without the help of our sponsors and our supporters and our donors and our volunteers. So let's see here. I realized I didn't really touch on a few things as everybody else was talking. I did just want to say we do serve La Crosse and Winona and surrounding areas. So Holman, Onalaska, and we also, like the Boy Scouts, have a small staff. We also have 5 full-time staff members, and we have about over 100 matches. And when I say matches, that is the big and the little pair. So anyways, at-risk youth is another thing I didn't really touch on because it can mean a lot of different things. So you can see here, that can be anything from just low income, new to town, or we deal with children who have some really traumatic type of backgrounds with like sexual abuse, physical abuse, and that kind of stuff. Anyways, jumping back to what's happening now, we are working on doing some virtual fundraising events. We have an upcoming one called Bowl for Kids' Sake. We usually do that, like I said, in person. but I will chat the link to that website. We're hoping to be doing 20 teams of 5 people, and the way that it works is you make a team of 4 to 6 people. It could be your coworkers, classmates, friends, family members, and you create a team and you do some fundraising. You could do bake sales, you could just post it on Facebook. And after about 2 months, it'll go live in March. And you can check back on our website for more details about both for Kids Sake. But you fundraise, you got a couple months to do that. And once your team fully fundraises, we'll give you a little goodie bag filled with t-shirts for your team, door prizes, and a voucher for bowling once you and your team are comfortable to go out and do a little bowling party for yourselves. So that's kind of what's happening with like fundraising events. As far as volunteers go, we found that our lacrosse community has really stepped up, and we are very much appreciative of that. And, you know, going back to we're a small staff, we have had a lot of big applications, which is awesome in La Crosse County. But because we only have 3 program staff, it's harder, and their primary function is not to be making matches. We aim for about 3 matches a month. But it's difficult to keep up with making the matches. So lacrosse has stepped up, but we're really, really looking for bigs in Winona. Our Winona community is kind of hurting right now. So again, I'll touch on this later, but that's kind of what's happening currently because of COVID. And it's been tough because, like I said, we're 1-to-1 and we're all about connection. And that has definitely been impacted because of COVID, but we're just encouraging matches to meet virtually. And if they do decide to meet in person, it has to be parent, big, and little are all comfortable with meeting in person, and they're using safety precautions when they do meet. But like I said at the beginning of this presentation, you know, it's connection is the biggest thing. And, you know, it's just important that our bigs are just checking in on kids, because it's hard when they're not, you know, in school, or they have a different type of schedule than they're used to, because consistency is really key. So the biggest thing that we're trying to hit home is that we just want our bigs to connect with littles and support them and just say, hey, I'm here for you. So that is about it as far as what is happening. I just do want to hit on a little success story, because this is my intern Jazz, and she also happens to be a big, but they have been rock stars during COVID and just stayed in touch. And one of the great things about this program is you can see children develop in amazing ways once they're matched with bigs. And specifically Ashaya, who's matched with Jazz, she's just, Jazz has told me she's just opened up so much, and you can tell the match has just been really beneficial to not only Ashaya, but to Jazz as well. So we're just really appreciative of that. And they've been able to do all of this even during COVID. So it's still possible, and we're still meeting, and we have really been lucky that our lacrosse community has stepped up. So that is about it as far as COVID goes. So I will pass it along to Teresa.
Thanks, Kate. So COVID, fun for all, right? This has been the craziest year I've ever seen, and I'm old, so that's saying something. But the good news is for volunteers is we really matched the opportunities to volunteer with what we have. So we have virtual volunteering. I have some troops right now that are meeting 100% virtually. They have been since the fall, and they are doing actually really fun and engaging projects via Zoom. And you would think that they wouldn't find, it's not like a webinar. They do activities together. Some of them we send them a kit. Some of them, they're using materials from home. So for the volunteers, we have a trainer who works with our volunteers. We have a dedicated support person to work with new troop leaders, if that's what they're doing, if they're running troop meetings, and they'll make sure they have the materials they need to run the troop. We have some troops that are doing hybrid. They're getting together once in a while to do something in a safe way, but at the same time, they're still doing some meetings virtually. And then we have a few troops. I have a lot of rural towns that I cover where their families have decided that they're going to meet in person. And if there's a volunteer in those communities that wants to meet in person with them, that's acceptable as well. The one thing I do want to mention right now, and I'm speaking to volunteer opportunities, we have what we call, we have internal terms for it, like everyone else has acronyms, but I call them embedded troops. They're actually troops that are in areas that most of the recipients of the troop activities and the troop programming are what we call scholarships. They're not paying any membership fees. They're not paying for uniforms or books. And that's really where we need the volunteers, and it gives volunteers, especially those of you that are in college or going into social services or the education field, an opportunity to learn how to deliver a curriculum and to learn how to deliver it virtually. Or how do you take something that was designed for an in-person program for children and now accommodate a virtual educational space? So you get a lot of guidance and a lot of support from the Girl Scout leadership development team on how to do that and the tools to do it, but it's also a tremendous experience. That said, I will also say that if you have a special interest, whether it be, excuse me for flipping through sides, but if you have something that you're really interested in, say like you like outdoors, you like leading workshops on how to build a campfire, leave no trace behind environmental stewardship, or the high ropes courses kind of activities, or if you have a specialty, maybe you're an astronomy major, or you're very interested in teaching some elementary coding skills, like how to make an app for your phone. For the people that have specialty skills, there are lots of opportunities for people to do a short-term volunteer engagement where they can be the subject matter expert on a certain topic and be a program leader for that or a program expert for that. For example, we have someone that's doing a fisheries program because they're doing a unit on outdoor animals and mammals and fish, and that person is a fisheries expert, so they're going to deliver that program. So if you have a field of expertise as a volunteer and you'd like to just focus on that area, there's opportunities for short-term commitments for that. And then there's opportunities for, I hope I'm making everybody dizzy by flipping through these slides, for a more lengthy commitment for a semester. If you're committed to doing that, the experience you get working with kids and working with other people within the Girl Scout community will certainly sharpen your presentation skills and will also sharpen your ability to deliver programming for youth. So that's how we've changed during COVID. Off to you, Joe.
Yeah, great. Just like the other two organizations, we've had to have a lot of adaptation within our program due to COVID-19. Kind of a couple things that I'll highlight. So in the during the state of Wisconsin Safer at Home order of late March, early April, and May, and we moved a lot of programming online. We had a Scouting at Home program, which kicked off in March, where scouts from our area could actually tune in online and earn merit badges by working with some of our local scouting leaders, and that was a big success. We had scouts not only from our area tune in, but we also had scouts from 12 other states connect with our local volunteers here and our local scouts via Zoom to work on some different activities and programs. And that was an unexpected thing. It just kind of happened through people finding our programming online, and it was a pretty exciting thing that way. some other things that we did during that scouting at home time period, we hosted a virtual campfire where scouts could send in skits or songs or stories. We compiled them all into a video, and then encouraged everybody to, watch that from their tablet or television, near a backyard campfire if they could. And that was kind of a fun opportunity. Then the other online thing that we provided was a virtual Pinewood Derby. So that's one of the big, very popular activities for our scouts in the spring of each year, which they unfortunately couldn't participate in due to the safer at home order. So we had scouts drop off their cars, and then we raced it down a track for them, and they were able to watch from home and see that online. We also did work with the La Crosse County Health Department to gain approval on a safe operating plan for outdoor programming at Camp Decorah, which is our local summer camp. So we were really pleased to be able to have hosted 5 weeks of programming for about 350 people in the summer. And really some of the foundations of that health plan, number one, everybody had to do a 14-day home health check. So in order to come to camp, you had to basically bring a 14-day temperature log showing that you had not had a fever or a cough or any of the other symptoms of COVID-19. Masks were, of course, required with a high level of sanitation. And then rather than having any of the large group camp gatherings like the dining hall or opening or closing ceremonies, we had everybody doing their programming in just small groups through the week as well. So, and then now in the, in the school year, we've been encouraging as many of our groups as possible to meet in person with, of course, those safety precautions, the 14-day temperature check upon arrival at events. And we have others that are meeting virtually as well. So some neat things have been going on that way. Kind of shifting into some of the volunteer opportunities that are out there. First of all, we're a very collaborative organization. So all of our packs and troops are actually sponsored by another community entity. So whether it's a school PTO or a civic club like the Rotary or Lions Club or maybe a veterans organization, we're collaborating with all those entities to sponsor packs and troops in our various communities. We also really like to get involved with community volunteers. So whether it's groups coming out to volunteer at Camp Decorah or working in a special project with their area passion, all sorts of things are available that way too. A few that I'll touch on include merit badge instructions. There's actually 130 different merit badges that scouts can earn, and these are typically affiliated with a vocation or a life skill. For example, archery or fishing, leather work, fish and game conservation, life saving, swimming, orienteering, communication, personal finance, all sorts of things that way. We do 2 different events each year where we typically, have a merit badge day where scouts throughout our area can come in, and we'll offer anywhere from 25 to 30 on each of those days. And we would love to engage with people via UGetConnected on that. Got a specialized opportunity. We provide medical support with any of our weekend events. And I know that we've got a really robust nursing program at all 3 institutions here in La Crosse, UWL, Viterbo, and Western. So opportunities for somebody to maybe get a little bit of field experience that way and community giving back. Really the only prereqs that are required is Red Cross, first aid, CPR. We have an RN who volunteers his time to kind of coordinate any of our medical team members and help get them up to speed of how to, what does our first aid kit look like and things like that. Mentioned Camp Decorah, that absolutely is a resource that's available for any of our university groups that you may be affiliated with. So I know the UWL ROTC Eagle Battalion, they're coming out tomorrow to do a day of, do an afternoon of training and some other things that way too. So you can find information there, and we'd be, glad to host any of your groups, whether it's a, sorority, fraternity, service organization, sports team, even for our other nonprofit partners here. Kate and, Teresa or those with UWL coordinating this. We're always glad to host, other entities too. We've got a couple different really good spaces for that. And I know the local Girl Scout camp has got a lot of great physical space too up at EB Howie. And then finally, room for internships, class projects, whether it's sales and marketing, kind of how does a nonprofit effectively run, giving leadership to some different projects. So just all sorts of opportunities are available out there too.
Great. Thank you all so much. Is there any final things that the community can help you all with, or any final thoughts that you want to share with us about your organizations before we open it up for questions?
Yes, I'm gonna just quickly touch on kind of like how to get involved, because I haven't really done that yet. So with our organization, by the way, Joe, I think there are some questions in the chat for you. I did send the Bold for Kids Sake website link in the chat if you would like to join a team. Like I talked about earlier, it's just a fun fundraising event to do, and our goal is to get 20 teams of 5 people together to fundraise for our organization. That's really important because all money goes right back into our program when we do fundraising events, and more money allows us to grow and maintain our program and serve more at-risk children in our community. So that link is in the chat if you'd like to take a look at that. And we are still looking for volunteers in Winona. Right now, the process has slowed down a little bit in La Crosse, like I touched on a little bit earlier. You are still absolutely open to apply and apply to become a BIG. Our need is posted on UGetConnected. I believe it's called Seeking Volunteers. And you can get a little bit more information on UGetConnected as well for that. One thing I realized I didn't say, it was on the slide, but we do ask for a minimum 18-month commitment, which I realize sounds like a lot, but we are in the business of changing lives for the better forever. And the best way to do that is to build like long-lasting relationships that will last a long time. And so we are looking for specifically mentors in the Winona area. So if you are La Crosse based, but maybe willing to drive, it could be once a month, and then you meet virtually the other time for the month. Please definitely take a look at UGetConnected and apply. You can also visit our website right here, and then there's a tab, get involved and then become a BIG. You can also give our offices a call if you want more information. I can put my email in the chat if you have personal questions for me about getting involved and stuff like that. And then additionally, we do also offer internships. Right now, we've got a program specialist intern who works with our program manager, Allison, and they do more of the direct care. And I have an intern currently who marketing and special events intern, and she helps me with the marketing and special events kind of side of our job. So we are hopefully looking to take on some interns in the summer, but that hasn't been posted yet. But you can keep checking back with our website. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. You can shoot me an email if you're looking for more internship types of opportunities like that. So lots of ways to get involved in our program. Biggest thing too, if you don't want to join a team or you can't or can't make the time commitment to be a BIG, just spread the word. We just sharing our Facebook posts is a great way to kind of get the word out about what we do, because I feel like a lot of the times people don't really know that we exist, and we often get mixed up with BGC. So word of mouth is great if you cannot support us in all the other ways that I just talked about. So that's all I got.
I can answer the questions which came up in the chat. I think there was a question about cost. So there is a $60 cost to be in scouting, but we absolutely do not desire to have financial constraints be the reason somebody does not participate. So we started a fund, we call it No Scout Left Behind. And it's designed to help provide for any of the needs that a family can't meet. So whether it's the registration fee or maybe uniforming or a handbook, and we're really proud that we have that No Scout Left Behind fund available in this community. Looks like somebody else asked about our camp. So Camp Decorah is actually located right off of Highway 53. So if you're kind of going between Holman and Galesville. You drive right by it, and it's located on the Black River up there as well. What you see over on Castle Rock Lake, that's a scout camp out of the Madison, Wisconsin area.
And Joe, someone had a follow-up question about how do you donate to the No Scout Left Behind Fund?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So we've got, I'll share a link on that in the chat here momentarily. We are set up for online giving, or somebody can, make a contribution via mail as well.
Teresa, you're muted.
I had to do that at least once, right? So how to volunteer with Girl Scouts. We have a link. I put a link up here. It's that real crazy. I should have made it into a bit.ly link, but the one that says WooFoo in the middle. There's no fee to be a Girl Scout volunteer. If you're going to work directly with youth, the Girl Scout requires that you register with the Girl Scouts. There's no fee for it, but we will run a background check. So I do tell people we will run a criminal background check. If you're a subject matter expert, for example, maybe like I mentioned, astronomy, we have some, if you want to be a science mentor for some of the leaders in the group, you don't need to have a background check as long as you're not working with youth. But to work with youth directly, you have to be a registered Girl Scout, and guys can be a Girl Scout. As adults, to register as a troop mentor. I have my information on there. I also have the Girl Scout Badgerland information on there as well. The short-term commitments that are available here in La Crosse would mostly be virtual, as I mentioned. Going into spring and fall, I always can use some short-term help for back to school and recruiting events. I just had a snowball games at the La Crosse office last weekend. If it's an episodic volunteer in terms you're going to always be with a Girl Scout leader or staff member, and it's just for 2 or 3 hours there. If you're available for that, just email me at my email address, and you don't have to go through the whole membership thing. If you'd like a longer commitment and to be tied to a troop or one of our embedded troops that are serving youth at risk, then yes, we'll have to have a background check for you. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and when you open it for questions, if there's anything I haven't covered, please let me know.
Thank you all so much. At this point, if you have questions, you are welcome to unmute yourself and ask those questions, or if you type them in the chat, I'm happy to read those out loud from the chat. So any questions from the audience?
I'm going to hop in with a question for Teresa. My daughter has participated in some of those. I know I've told you this before, in some of those virtual opportunities that you have available for girls. And I'm just wondering, I'm curious if there's been talk about those continuing even after things go back to whatever the new normal is, just kind of to help supplement, and maybe they even were happening before COVID, but just for recruitment efforts, because I think they've been super valuable to her, and it's just such a quick and easy and fun thing to do from home. So I could see something like that, her participating in something like that, even when things are more normal.
That's a great question. Actually, we haven't had that conversation, but I certainly know that it will happen. Thank you for saying that. Like I said, I can't quite give voice to what I thought of the summer programs I saw that the Girl Scouts pivoted so quickly. I did see part of one where they did a deep sea. They had a female diver who actually dove on the Titanic, and she did a virtual meeting with the girls. They brought in an automotive engineer woman who led each age group, K to 5, and then 6 to 8 and 9 to 12, on how to engineer their own car. So they really brought in some, and I just sat in on one where was a firefighter. She jumps out of helicopters, and the questions the girls asked, I was a moderator for that. I was just the tech support. And I thought it was really fascinating that the girls really were putting themselves in her position. Like, how did you have the how did you get over the fear to jump out of the helicopter? But I think the advantages of the virtual programs were not apparent until we had to build them. And like I said, I cover our council, not me, obviously, our council covers a wide, not only geography, but demographics. I mean, we've got girls that live in towns with 400 people and girls that live in Madison. So it really leveled the playing field in terms of who could participate in these programs that were sometimes free, sometimes $5, sometimes $10, you know, depending on if we sent a kit or didn't send a kit. And it just gave them an opportunity to explore and experience these kinds of interactive activities without actually having to go somewhere or have someone in their family drive them there. So great question. So my best guess is you'll always see some of them on there, because I don't think we realized how wonderful they were till we had to build them.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that, because I think that she would continue to do those, you know, and in-person things as well. But it was just so easy, and it was way more fun than I think her or I expected it to be. So kudos to you guys.
Thank you. I remember being at the Western Technical College. They had hosted our Girl Scouts. They did Engineer This, and they had different levels of girls coming in. They made leap bots and some sort of car and some sort of plane, and they brought in engineers. So I see the value of the in-person events, because I made it a point to go, and so I could speak to what the experience was. But in the space that we're in right now, I thought they transitioned very quickly into virtual experiences that were meaningful. So thanks for saying that.
Thank you, Julie. Any other questions out there? All right. Well, thank you all so much for attending. Thank you, Kate, Joe, and Teresa, for sharing about your agencies. This video will be posted on our YouTube channel and shared to our Facebook, so you can have people come and watch this video to learn more about your agencies. Have a great rest of your night and enjoy the rest of your week.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, thanks for coming to listen, everybody. Thanks for the opportunity to be part of it, Tulsi.
Of course. Thank you.